The story begins in Hawaii. A man nervously glances around, checking his surroundings before cautiously approaching a mailbox to post an envelope. But the moment he steps onto the street, a blue van slams right into him. The scene shifts to a Marine officer named James, who's training his cadets to hold their breath underwater. But one by one, every cadet gives up and surfaces. James is furious with their performance. That's when he gets a call from the police. He's shown the body of the dead man. The police have ruled it a hit and run. James heads home and starts making dinner. He casually tells his wife that Walter finally managed to get himself killed. And this is when we learn that Walter was James's father. His wife asks if he at least called his brother in Oklahoma. But James says he doesn't take my calls. The scene shifts to James's brother, a detective named Johnny. His girlfriend Valentina is packing her things and walking out on him. Johnny asks what's going on, talk to me. But Valentina fires back, so now you want to talk. She's completely fed up with him. Johnny apologizes. Valentina asks if he even knows what today is. It's her birthday. And Johnny had completely forgotten. No matter how much he begs, Valentina refuses to stay. She leaves him. Then Johnny gets a call from James's wife Layla. She tells him his father has passed away. And the funeral is tomorrow, we hope you come. But Johnny says he hasn't spoken to James in 10 years. He hasn't been to Hawaii in 20, so he's good. But right there in the bathroom, two men come up behind him and press a knife to his throat. They tell him his father Walter sent him a package. Where is it? Johnny explains he hasn't spoken to Walter since he was a kid. Whatever they're looking for, Walter wouldn't have sent it to him. One of the men pulls open his shirt to reveal a dragon tattoo on his chest, a sign that he's Yakuza. A fight breaks out between them. Johnny takes on both men by himself and beats them down. Another man bursts in through the door with a gun. Johnny handles him too. Johnny is casually sipping his beer while beating these guys senseless. Then one of them knocks over his mother's shrine. That's when Johnny snaps. He grabs the man's hand and grates it against a cheese grater. He finishes off the other two just as brutally. He has a photo of his mother. His father has been cut out of it. Back in Hawaii, Walter's funeral is underway. The Yakuza and Mr. K's syndicate boys are also in attendance. Walter was a private detective who was connected to all of them. James's cousin Nanny asks if Johnny is coming. James says no. But then Johnny shows up. The moment they see each other, they start taking jabs at one another, arguing back and forth. The priest has to tell them to be quiet. The governor, Peter, is a close family friend. He says a few words about Walter at the funeral. Following Hawaiian tradition, Walter is laid to rest. Afterward, everyone gathers at James's house. This house used to belong to James's mother. According to Johnny, James never liked him even as a kid. But James says Walter left my mom for your mom and it broke my family and I was just a kid. But somehow, things between the two brothers are still exactly the same. Over lunch, Johnny reveals that he's not here for Walter. He's here to find out who killed him. He tells James that the Yakuza came to his house last night and tried to kill him. James gets angry. He knew Johnny couldn't come back here without looking for new ways to get himself killed. Johnny says he's not even asking for James's help. James didn't help when Johnny's mom died either. James tells Johnny to step outside to talk. He says Johnny hasn't seen Walter in 20 years and now suddenly he's here to find his killer. You're just gonna stir up trouble. It's like your superpower. Johnny asks James to trust him just this once. But James says Johnny couldn't even find his own mother's killer. So now he's decided that someone killed his father too. Angry, Johnny storms off to a bar. A man approaches him and says he didn't think even Johnny was dumb enough to come back here. He tells him Mr. K wants to see him. Johnny says hard pass. But the bartender has already slipped something into his drink. Johnny passes out and wakes up right in front of Mr. K. Mr. K tells him the syndicate has a long memory, and Johnny hurt a lot of his guys. Johnny fires back. You killed my mother. Mr. K's response is maybe, or maybe not. He tells Johnny to leave Hawaii immediately. His presence here won't sit well with his men. He makes it very clear. Go back to your home where you came from. But Johnny says I am from here. Mr. K replies, not anymore. Mr. K marks Johnny's neck with his symbol. He tells him he's giving him just 7 days to leave this place. After 7 days, he won't let him. Johnny wakes up on a beach. Meanwhile, James meets with a detective named Rennert. He wants to see his father's police report, but Rennert tells him he won't find anything in it. The neighborhood where Walter died, nobody talks to cops there. There was a traffic camera at the scene, but it wasn't working. Rennert warns him that now he's got 2 badass sons looking into their father's death, but he can almost guarantee they're gonna end up poking a bear that doesn't want to be poked. James replies, I am the bear. James collects Walter's belongings from the police station. Among them is a paper slip with several words written on it. Johnny arrives at Walter's house, but he hears someone else inside. A young guy is searching through the place. The moment he spots Johnny, he bolts. Johnny chases him down and catches him. His name is Pika. Turns out he used to work for Walter doing things like hacking, tapping emails, tapping phones. Johnny asks what the last thing Pika did for him was. Pika says Walter told him to get a job at a catering company, but he has no idea why. Johnny tells Pika that from now on, he works for him. James notices there's a bar with a camera right where Walter was killed. He goes inside and asks for the CCTV recordings, but they flat out refuse. James offers money. They still won't budge. So James says the cash is for the damage. Meanwhile, Johnny discovers a blueprint hidden inside a surfboard at Walter's apartment. The scene shifts to a rally for Governor Peter. Nanny works as his assistant. Johnny calls her and says he found some plans or a survey with a government seal on it, but he doesn't know what it is. Nanny tells him she can access the database when she gets back to the office. She just needs the 8-digit number written on the plan. That's when someone breaks into the apartment. It's James. Johnny asks what he's doing here. James says the same thing as you. He shows Johnny the CCTV recording. The blue van had no license plate, and it's crystal clear this wasn't an accident. It was deliberate. Johnny asks Pika for a list of past and future events from that catering company. The two brothers climb into a car, still arguing, and drive off. That's when another car slams into them. A man inside the other car fires a gun into the air. James shoots him. Johnny jumps out of his car. He returns fire from outside. James climbs onto the roof of his car and leaps onto the attacker's vehicle. Johnny yells at him to jump off. He blows up the attacker's car. Johnny calls 911 to report the attack. James loses it. You blew up my car. Johnny fires back, but I saved your life, man. Renard tells them those were 4 Yakuza hitters they just turned into toast back there. Renard also reveals that Johnny isn't even a cop right now. He's a suspended officer. James hands Renard the CCTV video. Renard gives them a final warning. This kind of thing better not happen on his island again, or he won't let them off easy. Later, Nanny tells both brothers what she found out about the plans. They were for a property on the east side of the island. They were commissioned by the Robichaux firm. Marcus Robichaux is a big developer. Walter may have been working for him. James says Robichaux is building a casino. There's a casino marking on the back of the blueprint. And that makes no sense because gambling is illegal here. The next day, the two brothers head to the property. A Hawaiian community is living there. James asks who owns this property. The people tell him this land belongs to all of them, and everybody is welcome here. A woman explains they're living here to fight for what's theirs, to protect this land. They know people will come to take it from them. That's why they're standing guard. Then Johnny gets a call from Pika. The police found a blue van on the beach. The driver was a low-level accountant in the governor's office. Someone dumped both the van and the driver into the water to destroy the evidence. Johnny looked at the list of all blue vans on the island. He tells Pika to dig into Hayashi Imports. It was the only Japanese name on that list. The scene shifts to an event at Robichaux's house. Pika is already there, posing as a waiter. Soon, Johnny and James show up dressed as waiters too. Pika tells them to stay away from each other, because together, they look like the Rock's twin sons. Johnny follows a woman through the crowd. He starts flirting with her. That's when he learns she knew Walter. She had no idea he was dead. This woman had hired Walter to look into her husband's activities. And her husband is none other than Marcus Robichaux. James runs into a Japanese man. His business card says Hayashi Imports. James tells him he knows they misplaced a blue van. Meanwhile, Monica reveals she's getting a divorce. And without some leverage, things won't go well for her. Meaning Marcus won't let her walk away alive. Monica says it's not safe to talk here. She tells Johnny to come see her tomorrow. Back with James, the Japanese man says the frog never looks both ways when crossing the street. He's talking about Walter. That's when the man's phone starts ringing. Marcus's men approach both Johnny and James and escort them to Marcus. They tell him they're Walter's sons. Marcus says he paid Walter in full, even gave him a bonus. Johnny asks, "You hired Walter?" Marcus explains he suspected his wife was cheating on him, so he had Walter tail her. Johnny starts toying with a grenade sitting on the table. James notices a set of severed fingers on the table. Johnny and James leave the place. Marcus picks up a photo of his wife and mutters, "Now what have you done?" A short while later, Johnny sees that Marcus's wife has fallen from a building. She's dead. Johnny is furious. He storms straight to Marcus's house and starts fighting his guards. But the guards quickly overpower him. They tase him and drop him to the ground. Johnny tells Marcus he knows he killed her, and his dad too. But Marcus tells his men to call the police. Johnny is arrested. Governor Peter shows up and says Marcus has dropped the charges at his request. Peter tells Johnny that Walter had a darkness inside him, a darkness that caused him to destroy everything good in his life. And that same darkness lives in Johnny and James too. But the two of them have something Walter never had. A brother. The moment Johnny gets out of jail, James lays into him. You can't just do whatever you want. Doing these things is not gonna bring your mother back. Johnny starts swinging at James. At first, James just blocks his punches. But when Johnny doesn't stop, James hits back. The two brothers fight like enemies. James beats Johnny down hard. He asks, "What is wrong with you?" Johnny fires back. What type of man abandons his little brother when he needs him the most? You sent me away. But James says Johnny was going to prison. The syndicate was gonna kill him. He saved Johnny by sending him away. He tried to protect him. It was the only way. Johnny says after his mom died, James was all he had left. In this fight, all their buried feelings come pouring out. James apologizes. He says he's Johnny's big brother and he gave up on him. If he could, he'd do everything differently. James asks Johnny why he's chasing this so hard. Walter wasn't any kind of father to him. Johnny says he never found the man who killed his mom. And now someone killed his father. So now both brothers will hunt for their dad's killer together. But before they can move forward, James's wife loses it on both of them. She demands to know what this is all about. That's when Johnny gets a call from Valentina. She went back to his place to get her stuff. And she found a package that arrived from Hawaii. Inside is a thumb drive. Johnny tells her to bring the drive and fly out to Hawaii. But Valentina refuses. Johnny somehow convinces her. Johnny, Pika, and James pick up Valentina from the airport. Johnny takes the drive from her. They discover the thumb drive is a key to a cold wallet. To open it, they need a seed phrase. 12 random words that only the account holder would know. James pulls out the slip of paper from Walter's belongings. It has the 12 words written on it. But right then, gunfire rains down on them from a helicopter. They scramble to escape. Valentina takes the wheel. The helicopter opens fire without any regard for the other cars on the road. A group of armed ninja bikers joins the chase. Their car drifts and turns over. Valentina has to drive it in reverse. When she slams the brakes, two bikers crash straight into the car. One biker ends up inside the vehicle. James fights him off. Johnny takes on the other biker. Valentina manages to turn the car back. One biker ends up hanging off the side. She pulls the car close to the road barrier and scrapes him off. James throws the other one out of the van. But the helicopter is still on them. Johnny fires blindly into the sky. James takes his time and aims carefully. The helicopter spins out of control and starts going down. But it's heading straight for their car. Everyone barely makes it out alive. Pika finally accesses the cold wallet. Valentina looks at the data and says these are international wire transfers. $12 million moved through several offshore accounts into a single account belonging to Governor Peter. James and Johnny are stunned. It all starts to make sense. Marcus needs Hawaiian homelands to build his casino resort. And he needs someone who can legalize gambling. So he buys the governor for $12 million. Walter must have stumbled onto this while tailing Marcus. Meanwhile, Nanny shows Peter the plans Marcus had drawn up. Peter promises he won't let this happen. Back at the house, Johnny and James arrive home. James calls his wife, but her phone vibrates right there in the house. James searches for his kids. He finds them hiding in the bathroom, terrified. His son tells him they took her. James hugs his children. Marcus sends them a video showing that both Nanny and James's wife are in his custody. He makes his demand. Hand over the thumb drive in exchange for their lives. James and Johnny load their guns into a bag. They storm Marcus's house, taking down guards as they push their way inside. One by one, they silently eliminate the guards without alerting the others. When the guards hear a car alarm go off and move toward it, they're all picked off from a distance. Johnny and James leave a trail of bodies behind them. Inside the house, Marcus notices his outside guards aren't responding on the walkie-talkie. The lights start flickering. The guard sent to check on the lights finds the pool filled with dead bodies. Johnny comes up behind him and takes him out. Marcus sends Nakamura and his Yakuza members to deal with Johnny and James. James charges straight at all the Yakuza members at once. He takes them down one by one. He starts beating one of them with a hammer. Johnny has to step in and stop him, telling him the guy's already dead. Johnny and James free Nanny and Layla. Layla tells James to go. She says they'll get out on their own. She wants him to back up Johnny. Nakamura opens fire on James. The two of them go at it. Johnny cuts off Marcus before he can escape. Marcus sneers that killing him is harder than killing his father. They start brawling. On one side, James shatters Nakamura's bones and finishes him off. But Marcus gains the upper hand on Johnny. He taunts him. Did you really think you could stop me? You're just a mosquito. In a year, his casino will be built, and no one will be able to stop him. Your father, you, and James will all die for nothing. That's when Johnny holds up the pin from Marcus's own grenade. The grenade explodes. James dives into the water to save Johnny. He pulls his drowning brother to the surface. Johnny survives. Governor Peter is arrested. And that's where the story comes to an end. Let us know what you thought of this explanation in the comments. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.